Hey guys, Kirostyle here. Welcome back to Hades. In the last episode, we went over all the different side quests in the game and the various conclusions to those. Prior to that, we also watched the epilogue and concluded the main story of the game. So there's still a few loose ends we have left to tie up, and I didn't want to include them in the previous episode because that episode was already getting ridiculously long. So I still have some extra miscellaneous pieces of dialogue that I came across that didn't really fit into any of the other side quests, including things like Trial of the Gods dialogue, Duo Boon dialogue. I also spend some time buying things from the housing contractor and the resource director as well. We also tackle Extreme Measures Hades as to see what he looks like with Extreme Measures 4 implemented on the Pact of Punishment. And just some closing thoughts on the game, which includes things like my records, the Codex, and some closing thoughts as well. So feel free to use the timestamps below to navigate this video, and thank you so much for joining me on this journey. I hope you guys are enjoying this game, and let's get on with it. Okay, let's decorate the house a little bit more, even though the party's over. I want to get all these sculptures.
Well, I don't see why not. A hideous rendition of a grizzled skeleton seems suitable to call.
So that's what those squares.
Fear into these worthless shades.
That's what those squares are for. The other one, I thought it was a statue, but it's actually not. I think it's this.
Let's do it. This thought-provoking piece seems like a decent conversation starter for the hall.
What is that utterly preposterous design?
And then the last one is the bust.
How about this, Contractor? A marble bust of some old man seems just the thing to liven this place up.
Exactly whose unwanted countenance is that?
And then let's get Achilles some nice stuff. Let's give him
Work approved.
a
If
mirror.
anybody needs to see their own reflection down the hall, well, now they can.
Leave that poor contractor alone.
And then let's give him a nice little rug to stand on.
Let's go with this one, then. If Achilles is going to stand around eternally, it might as well take place on something soft.
Yeah.
He is a shade boy. What use has he for supple carpeting?
Oh, come on, Hades. We want to be nice to our boy. Let's go examine our new furnishings. Oh. I thought the sparkle meant that there was...
Within the house's gallery now sits the bust of a distinguished poet, ruggedly handsome in his age, who, although yet to earn his fated fame, shall probably be better known someday.
Never heard of him.
Oh, there we go.
Hello?
See, if I examine it, it can kind of shake, I guess. Must be a Greek philosopher, not sure exactly which one.
I paid for it, I can mess with it.
No, I don't want to nudge it. Examine. No. Stop it.
The frightful countenance of a bleached, bloodless warrior decorates the hall forevermore, eternally in tribute to the savage servants of the house's lord.
I could take him.
Okay, so I think it's time to decorate.
Where were we?
Yep, we're decorating Hades. Because I have a lot of gems, and I heard that certain dialogue with some characters unlocks if you buy more furniture, so let's give that a try. Some of these are cheap, and some of them overlap with one another, so I'm only going to buy one of each, like the drapery, for example. Let's get Boon.
Contractor, work approved. Either those curtains go or I do.
It was perfectly acceptable before.
Barely see a difference. Let's get roses.
Approved. I'm sure nobody's going to mind some lovely flowers there.
It is appreciated, child.
That is no place for flowers. Clean that up.
Let's go with this. One more embellishment for the old house. Contractor, work approved. I swear, who would purchase laurels when they could earn them in sporting competition?
Only those with pure contempt for honest victory.
I kind of like the red laurels that we just had. Go all the way down here just to switch it back. Okay. I kind of liked the The red drapery too.
Let's bring that back, I think.
Leave that poor contractor alone.
Yeah, that looks much better. I can't press up to get to the bottom of the list either. I have to go all the way down.
Let's see how it looks the other way, alright?
Blast, just leave it be.
See, the default stuff was really nice. Those weird lighting
Let's see
things.
how this looks again.
Yeah, I like the candles. Okay, well those were wastes. Let's get some petals. Are these incompatible with one another, or not?
Here's the fee. Let's get some undead flower petals over there post-haste.
That's a lot. Can I do this one instead?
Contractor, I have another job. These undead flower petals ought to add an extra touch of elegance, I think.
Oh my god, I've
What are you doing to my central hall?
put both of them down. It looks so bad. Man, wasting all my gems here. Oh, I can get... They are incompatible with one another. I still don't like them though.
I miss the way things used to be with that.
What are you even going on about?
Let's get this one.
Well, I don't see why not. An intricate mosaic just above my bedchambers should make having to go in feel less bad, I think.
No mosaic shall eliminate your shame, boy.
That looks good. I think this one, someone told me that you need this one to get Hypnos to say something.
Work approved. Let's set some decadent old tombs right smack in the middle of the hall back there.
The dead need not be coddled with such things.
Kind of give them a place to line up, I suppose. A chair might be good. Okay, so these just replace things I already have. Those are getting kind of expensive. Let's get a towel rack.
Let's go with this one then. I won't be needing these, but anyone emerging from the pool of sticks might like them, I suppose.
That's not of use to anyone.
Let's do it. The hall to father ought to look more sinister, I think.
A fair enough adjustment, I should say.
There's just bones everywhere. Okay.
How about this, Contractor? This should instill a sense of fear in anyone approaching my bedchambers.
What you do with your wretched bedchambers is your business alone.
Here you go. A bit more mood lighting in the main hall is certainly in order, isn't it?
The light of Ixion is bright enough.
Oh geez, there's so much in that hallway now. It looks crowded. I don't like it. Let's get... Ooh. Ever-falling
Here's
petals.
the commission. Can't have too many undead flower petals around here.
Fair. Sure, let's get a chair.
Let's do it. If Hypnos is going to be sleeping on the job, you have to do it in the lap of luxury.
Hypnos has an important job to do.
He's just floating over the chair. What about this side of the hallway? These ones are kind of getting expensive. The lounge... Oh, let's add this treat-filled jar.
Let's go with this one then. Cerberus won't touch these things, although some shades seem to enjoy them fine.
Oh, it's cute. It's got a paw on it. Okay, pretty much got everything else I need for the lounge. I could get some stuff from my bedroom. Some of these are getting expensive though. And it's not that I don't have money, it's just that I want to save them for some of the bigger purchases. Okay, let's get a fancy... Actually, okay, let's get a rug.
Contractor, work approved. What time is it? That's right, rug switching time.
Meddling with rugs again, are we?
And a
Here's the
recliner.
fee. I have this crippling compulsion to commission objects I am never ever going to sit on.
None shall sit besides myself and Cerberus.
Do I want Dionysus, Aphrodite, Achilles? Let's get Achilles. He's my best
How
bud.
about this, Contractor? If I'm to keep seeing my chamber walls, they might as well not be completely barren.
Why don't you clean your chambers rather than adorn them?
Approved.
Make my
I
bed
think
nice.
I've outgrown my other bed. Not that there's been a lot of time for sleep of late.
You do not need another blasted bed.
Okay, maybe we'll save these ones for later. Okay, the West Hall.
Let's go with this.
Oh, that looks nice.
Contractor, I have another job. Perhaps Death Incarnate would like to take a load off every now and then.
Appreciate that.
Thanatos would never sit down on the job.
What's the sundial for?
Well, I don't see why not. Oh, I think Thanatos would love this one. Or totally ignore it.
What is this, Sag?
Thanatos is far too industrious to require such a thing.
Oh, don't be like that, Hades. Okay, let's get a rug.
Here's the commission. By my decree, this house is not a house without this rug.
Are you quite finished alternating rugs?
That's kind of ugly, but it's better than nothing, I guess. Maybe this rug will look better.
There you go. Well, we absolutely need to get this rug. Right over there.
Oh, that's still ugly. Well, this rug.
I think we'll go with this. A fine hallway requires a fine rug, I always say. I say it sometimes.
Okay, it's ugly, but
The
it's
poets doubtless shall be singing of your rug.
better than
If
the
there's
other.
a finer rug to set back there, I'll likely end up getting it as well.
Ugh. Kind of want to leave no rug, but I feel like 'cause sometimes you get like dialogue if you have new things set out, so
I wanted to see how this looks again, if that's alright.
okay. I mean, it's still kind of ugly, but I think I prefer it just because it's kind of empty in the middle section, so it's a little bit less harsh on the eyes.
Next you.
Let's go set up my new bedroom.
A fine addition to the bedchambers.
Oh, that's nice.
Much of the softness of the richly woven rug the prince procured cannot be fully felt beneath his flame-licked feet.
I guess it's soft.
The ever-energetic prince, alas, remains incapable of sitting still, even with such a supple, comfortable seating arrangement nestled in his chambers now.
I just prefer to stand, alright?
The valor of the great-hearted Achilles is immortalized upon the prince's wall, as though it might stir up more courage from within.
Achilles must have been incredible back when he was alive.
With its just right softness and death-themed embroidery, the new bedding of Prince Zagreus is the envy of all those who wish to rest in peace.
Already bought it. No need to sell me on it, old man.
So I heard that if you get the columns divine, you unlock new furnishings.
Work approved. Anything to liven things up even the slightest bit around here.
Doesn't really match with the drapery, but that unlocked this furnishing. A couple actually. This heroic sculpture, but more importantly, this West Hall fountain, and I had to save up a lot of gems to be able to buy both of these back to back. But the cool thing about this is if you examine it, it tells you how many times you've used a fountain in the game. So I thought I'd buy it since it was a furnishing that actually has a purpose.
Well, I don't see why not. What is it about fountains that makes everything feel a little fancier?
Really?
What good shall that do all the way down there?
That's pretty big. Now I'm pouring out of gems.
Water is the source of life, yet still it flows within the darkest underworld recesses, whilst restless shades of mortals look upon it and recall the short days they could drink it and draw breath.
Now I feel bad.
Now if I check it.
This is the most decadent...
Huh. Pretty neat. And by buying that, and I don't have gems for it now, I've unlocked a fountain that I can also get for the Great Hall. I don't think this one you can examine like the other one. Maybe you can. It looks almost identical.
Among the countless splendid gemstones hidden underneath the earth, a great many are used to decorate the House of Hades, god of the dead, god of riches.
I guess there are a lot of gemstones here.
Let's buy a few more furnishings to make Thanatos comfortable.
How about this, Contractor? Should soften up that corridor down there.
Thanatos has no need for such embellishments.
Let's go with this one then. Here, Thanatos, why don't you have yourself this little table?
This can't be.
What use has death in carnage for such things?
Contractor, I have another job. Let's lighten up that southwest hall a bit.
What?
The prior dimness of that hall was entirely intentional.
Okay, we have more gems, so I think I'm going to decorate up Zagreus' room a little bit more.
Approved. Always wanted my own entertainment table, and I can finally afford one, I suppose.
Keep entertaining yourself, boy.
Here's the fee. They say that only Heracles himself can lift these things. I'll take them then.
You think you have the necessary strength?
How did the contractor get them in there then?
Let's go with this. Should help make my messy chambers even messier.
I do not authorize such an expenditure.
Looks good, I guess.
A massive set of weights, positioned carefully in line of sight of any visitors, shall doubtless make them think the prince is stronger and in better shape than in reality.
I get lots of exercise, okay? They are completely stuck.
An object intricately carven solely for the purposes of recreation now resides within the pleasure-seeking prince's chambers, although his lack for an opponent limits its appeal.
Face me yourself, old man. Wait, this requires a second player, doesn't it?
Oh, poor Zag.
The shattered weapons of the siege of Ilion are now reduced to window dressings in the prince's ever-cluttered lair.
Bronze weapons. Made crudely, but they had the right idea.
Is that a pair of nunchucks up there? Were those, period appropriate? Okay, I can afford this fountain now. Guess I'll get it anyways.
Contractor, work approved. Always hoped we'd have a fountain here precisely in that location.
A decadent acquisition.
Oh, that's not where I thought it would go. Have a look at it.
The gemstone-bearing prince commissioned such a finely crafted fountain for the house that all the shades who witnessed it still think of him quite fondly ever since.
Ever since, it's not been that long.
Oh, you can check this one too.
I won't ever grow weary of this, will I?
Pretty cool. So I have a ton of diamonds now, 59 of them, so I think that's enough for me to buy every single piece of music here that I'm missing, and still have one left over to give to the house contractor. Although, I won't be able to buy this infernal theme, but that's not such a big deal. These themes they just change the border of your UI when you look up your boons and when you beat Hades, so it's more of a cosmetic thing for people that have too many resources because they've been playing this game too long. So let's start buying these. Let's start at the bottom of the list. This might take a while, so I'll cut ahead.
Here you go.
By the fates.
Let's do it.
My memory of music stirs.
Here you go. Not going to say no to more music. Some new music.
Alright, so now I have all the music pieces filled out. Still one diamond left for the resources director to get that badge. Okay, let's spend a few more gems.
Approved. I think those pedestals over there are just a bit too modest for my tastes.
I do suppose that gold suits those sufficiently.
Oh, you're agreeing with me, Hades. I also wanted to get the Elysium portrait.
Well, I don't see why not. A painting of the finest spot in all the underworld seems suitable to have in here.
Well, that's actually really pretty.
Why settle for a painting when you could just go get yourself killed there now?
And let's get a sundial. Why not?
Contractor, work approved. Perhaps the mystery of whether it's day or night around here will finally be solved.
A sundial at last. Indeed.
But we won't be able to use it down here. There's no sunlight. Let's go have a look at it.
Time seems to stand quite still within the eternal realm of the dead, evidenced even by the means of measuring its passage.
Looks like it's 7:48.
That is not the right time.
It's 7:48.
Okay. So it doesn't go by my clock's time, at least. It kind of bothers me. It's lined up with all these other statues and stuff, but it's not on the rug. And if you include this sundial, the 4 of them are not centered then in the hallway. Should it not be in line with the rest of them and then like shifted over and then on the rug? Ah, well. Okay, so I was thinking, what if the sundial actually told me the time in Greece or something like that? Maybe it took my time zone into account and then calculated the time for Greece, and I thought that would be pretty cool. So I came back to check on it again just to corroborate it, and
It's 7:48 right now, I guess.
I think it's just stuck at 7:48 all the time. I mean, it makes sense because there's no light in here, and the lighting doesn't change. But I thought that would have been a neat little touch. But I guess it's a cute little joke, I guess. So I bought most of the furnishings, but the ones that are left are mostly just variations on the expensive ones. I'm sick of seeing those divine columns. I think they're pretty ugly, or the color doesn't match. I only got them because they unlocked the fountain. So I want to change them back. You can't turn them off because you need an alternate column. I'm pretty sure these jeweled columns are the same ones that I had at the beginning. Why do I have to buy them again? Let's get the ominous columns.
Here's the fee. I think those columns still could use some sprucing up.
The columns were just fine the way they were.
It's pretty ominous. Okay, I'm gonna buy some of these alternate furnishings, although I won't keep them because they're cheap and I don't really have any other thing else that I'm trying to really save for. Maybe the fireplace, but you know what? I'm just gonna buy these. They're cheap.
Let's go with this. How about a moody blue color of some sort for the drapery there?
Quit changing the blasted drapery.
Let's do it. Perhaps a rich green hue for the drapery will feel a little homelier.
The prior hue was fine.
I like how that mosaic over Zagreus' bedroom, it appears to be Zagreus, Meg, and Than. Let's change the drapery back before I forget. I kind of liked it white.
I think we ought to mix things up a bit.
What have you done this time?
Oh, they were literal bones. You know what? Maybe the green actually is good. Green goes with
Let's
red.
put that up again.
I didn't realize that's what it was changing. I thought it was the curtains on the walls. That's why there are so many bones up there. Okay.
Contractor, I have another job. A nice floral arrangement ought to lighten up the mood a little bit.
You are too kind.
You would associate my house with flowers, boy.
The blue flowers look nice with Nyx, but then they clash with the red, so I'm going to... Here it is.
I think we'd better go with this option instead.
I like how a lot of the furnishings here are mostly made just to make the place more comfortable for everyone, like a floor mat for Achilles to stand on, or a chair for Hypnos, flowers for Nyx. It's very sweet. Very sweet of you, Zag. Oh, and don't forget all the stuff for Cerberus.
I think we'll go with this. These decorative laurels ought to give us an appreciable touch of dignity, no doubt.
You would squander your earnings on that.
Dad, it's my money though. I want to do whatever I want with it. Oh, I have a red drapery? When did that happen?
Let's say we change things up again, alright?
Is that the one I started with? Just go with a red theme. And we'll change the laurels.
Let's put this back up, why not?
You use your limited authority for that.
And then... I mean, Cerberus already has a bed. So, you know what? I'm gonna get some decorative... Should I get axes? Or... Let's go swords. Let's get swords.
Let's go with this one then. Perhaps my chambers will look even better with these blades ominously displayed on either side.
Those blades don't even work. No wonder you prefer them so.
You just got cheeky things to say about everything, don't you, Hades? I'm also gonna get rid of the bones.
Let's take that down for now.
A change for change's sake.
Just looks too messy. There we go. Nice and clean. Oh, I still have gems left over, so... Here's Cerberus.
Well, I don't see why not. This seems a suitably fine resting pad for Cerberus.
The dog is perfectly content such as it is.
Oh, that one's nice. The other one's cuter, but I think I like this one because it's white, and the other one was multicolored. That's the fancy one, this one's the quilted one. Let's keep this one for now.
Contractor, I have another job. I've not seen the famous Heracles about, and so let's have a marble effigy of him instead.
Daedalus ought to stick to chamber work.
Oh, so that replaces the fountain.
Who is next?
That costs a lot of gems, so maybe I might reload
Keys
my
on break, I guess.
save, because I don't really want this. Plus, there's other things I'd rather spend those gems on.
Poke.
Poke. Yeah, I can examine it, there we go.
The perfect chiseled physicality of one of Greece's greatest ever heroes now adorns the house's gallery, reminding most onlookers of many ways in which they failed to compare.
He sure looks tall.
Yeah, way to make us feel small there, Hercules, come on. Let's buy a few other things. Let's get this Boatman's treasure. You get this from fighting Charon. It gets unlocked at the house contractor.
Work approved. These ought to add a little sparkle each time I revive from the pool of sticks.
Such an ignoble way to step into this house needs no adornment.
That's pretty nice. And let's get a fireplace. Well, this one's cheaper, so let's buy the cheaper one.
Contractor, I have another job. I would like only the brightest burning, most ornate fireplace available, thanks.
There is sufficient warmth already in that hall.
That fireplace is huge. I can't examine it or anything like that. Let's buy a few of the other furnishings I'm missing. I could also buy this theme, but I don't know if I really want it. I could be spending those few diamonds on the painting of the Fury Sisters and the skull disco ball. Okay, let's get these 2 wall scrolls.
Here's the fee. Hey, they're my bedchambers. I can have whatever wall scrolls I want.
If that is how you wish to spend your wealth.
I'll probably keep the Achilles wall scroll up, but these I might as well have as options.
How about this, Contractor? My mage lord Dionysus can inspire me to keep a bright and healthy attitude toward life.
Healthy attitude? From him?
Now I'm done with the bedchambers. And I can't afford these. Okay, that might be the last big purchase I get from the house contractor. See, again, I don't really need the themes. These are just nice things to buy once you've bought everything else out. And I don't really have a need for ambrosia, actually, except for giving it to the resource director. That might be a good thing to get. Titan blood I can still use for my weapons. I don't have enough ambrosia for both of these themes, though. This one's an Aphrodite theme. This one's like a Orpheus theme. I previewed the themes online. I kind of like the Deathly theme, but that's 5,000 gems, so yeah, no. All it does is change the border of the window that appears when you open up your menu or when you defeat Hades.
I'll just set that there.
Oh, the wall scrolls don't conflict with each other. Oh, sexy. Examine them.
The ever-smiling, wine-washed countenance of the great Lord Dionysus now adorns the prince's chamber wall, thus radiating questionable influence.
Questionable influence.
It's like we share a bond, man.
Like, some kids, you know, they go out drinking and smoking. I hang out with the god of drinking instead. Interesting fact, remember how Orpheus, we tricked him into thinking that Zagreus and Dionysus were sprang from the same cloth, I guess, and then he wrote a song about it. I read that it's actually kind of a reference to Dionysus's, one of his other myths that kind of explains where he came from, and it's kind of a lesser known one that conflicts with the other canon in Greek mythology, so it's more like a commentary on the fact that these characters in Greek mythology have conflicting reports, or depending on who's writing it, they have different origins, and him and Zagreus being one and the same kind of mirrors one of his alternate mythological tales for Dionysus, which is kind of interesting.
The visage of the goddess Aphrodite now adorns the prince's bedchambers, perhaps to provide consolation after when next he dies.
Aphrodite herself. Wonder if I could get this signed.
Oh, is it autograph time again? Okay, so for completion's sake, I'm going to buy the last couple furnishings, but I probably won't save my game file afterwards, just in case I want to use the diamonds for buying other things, or maybe I'll reload and buy some of the themes just to see if there's any special dialogue.
Let's go with this. Now this is just the sort of outlandish purchase that makes me briefly feel slightly better about myself.
I pity those who have depended on our lounge for its formal, understated atmosphere.
Here's the commission. This stately rug should match the lounge decor.
What have you done to my floor surfaces?
Here you go. The lounge's regulars might like this rug, I guess. Approved. I've had a change of heart about that rug, if you don't mind. Contractor, work approved. Think this is going to be a better look for the lounge seating.
Green is perhaps last among the list of colors I would have selected.
Let's do it. I think the lounge will be better off with these tables here.
There were no complaints on record of the prior tables.
Here you go. Wonder how they got Make to pose with the other two. They look downright civil.
You wish to see the Fury Sisters go to Tartarus?
Let's go with this. This artful piece of terrifying asphodel should add some atmosphere.
What are you doing to my hall up there?
Here you go. You know, I've always had a thing for double-bladed axes.
I've always had a thing for silence around here.
Let's do it. Nothing like a mosaic depicting my archenemy in the Bull of Minos to spur me on.
Do give the champion of Elysium my best regards when next you're slain by him.
Contractor, work approved. I rather like this style, so let's go ahead and make it official.
To trifles such as that, in times such as these.
Let's go with this. They say this one's the hottest style this side of Elysium.
Who are these self-appointed judges, I would like to know?
Let's do it. This style seems appropriately grim for the job, I think.
Are you quite finished with your decorating yet?
Here's the commission. As soon as I saw this lovely style, I knew I had to have it.
It would be lovely if you let me work in peace.
Well, I have a ton of extra resources. I'm gonna start buying a few of these badges from this guy here.
I believe I'm eligible for the rank of Warden, Resources Director.
Yay. Oh, okay, bye. Oh, you just disappear when I run through you. Maybe I have to leave the room and come back for him to give me another option, but I don't think I'll buy too many of these. So I had to do another run, and when I came back, the Resources Director appeared again. Last time, after I got my reward from him, once I re-entered the room, he was just gone, so I think you do need to do another run. Well, I have no use for my nectars now, and I've used up all my darkness on all the mirror benefits that I want to use, so I can afford this.
Spruce up my badge, please.
Yeah, I'm a warden. Nice. See you later. Hey there.
Got a donation here.
Delta Warden. Nice.
My badge is due for an upgrade, I think. My badge, please, Resources Director. Make me a fixer, Resources Director. I'm ready.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good rank that I'm going to end off on. The price does increase more and more with the darkness, and I think I'd just stick myself as an alpha fixer just because it sounds kind of cool, and alpha sounds pretty cool instead of moving down the Greek letters of the alphabet, so we will stick with this for now.
Briefly now, boy. Our Resources Director informs me you've advanced in rank. Commendable. That's all.
Thank you.
Oh sweet, ready for another duo boon. My foster sister, Goddess Demeter, despite her stern approach, she often likes to make good sport of me, nephew. Why, here she is right now.
If you're quite finished blathering, Poseidon, our young Zagreus has more important things to do. He needs your blessings, not your point of view. Don't you, young sprout?
Is this another chance for a duo boon? Let's hear it.
I'm glad we understand each other then. It would be most embarrassing to be caught bickering amongst ourselves in front of Zagreus.
Oh, I wasn't expecting to get a duo boon here.
Hello, Zagreus. Athena here is grandstanding or trying to prove a point or something. I don't know. Anyway, nice talking to you.
Alright, you two.
Well, I suppose that's settled then. I'm afraid such interactions aren't uncommon here amongst my family. But that's a family without flaws.
All right.
Hey, a Zeus and Ares duo boon. Let's see what we got.
It shall be Exactly as you say, Lord Father. Your wishes are identical to mine.
Oh, look. Zeus is saying nice things about Demeter. Isn't that nice?
Why, foster brother Zeus? Such an unlikely bit of candor there from you. Almost as though you felt compelled to speak the truth only whilst I'm directly within earshot.
That is like Zeus.
Oh, dearest, I've brought you keen-eyed Artemis, who, in her focus on the hunt, has not developed social graces suitable enough to come to you herself.
Social graces, she says. Going about like that. I'm sure you know that I can find you when it's necessary, Zagreus. Though how to get away from Aphrodite, I have no idea.
So according to Poseidon here, he gets along with everyone, and then he immediately insults Artemis. Nice job, Poseidon.
Oh, and wouldn't that be such a pity, Uncle Poseidon? I wonder what could be the cause of this sour look that I perpetually have up here. Maybe Zagreus knows.
See exactly what I mean, nephew.
Ooh, good.
I bring to you the Lady Demeter, cousin. I've asked that she please rest assured knowing we have your matter well under control. Though in her infinite compassion she has taken up your cause, nevertheless.
Oh, you needn't lavish me with your faint praise, Athena dear. In all your boundless intellect, I'd have expected you would know I see through your intentions plain as day.
Ooh.
Oh gosh, I've been farming out these legendary boons, and it's been so much work, because to get each boon, each one has like a certain number of prerequisites you have to get on the same run, and I didn't think I would ever do it, but I ended up with only a few Fated Prophecies left, so I figured, you know, what the heck, I'm gonna try to do it since I'm trying to farm out the rest of the stuff anyways, and look! I finally did it, and a lot of times I would even get like 2 legendary boons on the same run, because I think the game skews it that if you meet all the prerequisites, there's a higher chance that it will appear, so it's not completely random, it's just, I guess it's like dynamic chances happening there, so I'm really happy I got this one done.
Greatest boons of the Olympians. What an honor. That's one prophecy out of the way.
Alright, so I said I wouldn't do it, but then I ended up playing more, and I thought, well, if I'm gonna play more, get more runs in to progress the other plots, I might as well try to get this last Fated Prophecy, so I did. It wasn't too bad. I just had to make sure to consult my Codex to make sure I knew exactly which boons I needed to get in order to get the duos to appear, so...
The Olympians aren't all on the best of terms, I guess.
And with that, that is all the Fated Prophecies. I've finished a significant chunk of this game. So I've been doing more of these Trial of the Gods. I know during my regular playthrough I didn't do these very much because of a bad experience where I got killed by Aphrodite because she got mad, but I did do a few of these since, and basically what I found out was you can actually get both of these boons here. So you pick one of them, so for example I'm going to pick Aphrodite first, and then Athena's gonna get mad. Then you have to do a fight with some enemies, and depending on who you anger, they do different things. So like Zeus strikes down lightning bolts, Artemis rains down arrows, Aphrodite shoots hearts. If you manage to clear the enemies, then the other god will forgive you and then give you their boon too. So these rooms are like a high risk but high reward. You can run away here with 2 boons as long as you don't, of course, die. So let's give this a shot again.
How thoughtful.
You'd choose one of my relatives instead of me, though I myself was first to contact you. Alas, I must respond to you in kind.
They all kind of say these really like passive-aggressive types of things. Athena here in general, I would not expect her to be this vindictive, but again, the gods in Greek mythology are quite fickle.
Lady Athena, I'm sorry.
Athena seems a lot more manageable. I've done a few of these, and Zeus, Artemis, Demeter, they seem pretty easy actually to avoid. I just had a hard time with Aphrodite because I was not expecting it the first time. I have yet to see Dionysus get angry though. I can't really imagine him doing that, but then again, even Athena is subject to this, so... Now...
Your father also made some questionable choices, Zagreus. But all of us are family after all.
just kind of forgive you and then give you a boon, I guess.
I knew you'd come around.
Good shot there, Zagreus. I guess you got me. Now why don't you go take a shot at this? Oh, you're still there, I see. Well then, alright. Let's call it even for the moment and get on with this.
Aha! Just as I thought.
Hate to be ungrateful here.
This is outrageous, Zagreus. Even your father would agree that actions such as that can't go unpunished. All right, let's call the score between us settled up for now. Just don't go spurning me again, you understand? A good decision there.
Decision, Zagreus. It is about to be a very cold day down there in your underworld. So you survived a little winter's chill, didn't you there? Be careful though. Next season could be worse.
Looks like I've got a choice to make.
Neutrality was not an option here.
There, Zag. I mean, come on. I thought I was your mate. Was I mistaken, man?
Don't take it personally, Dionysus.
I just can't stay mad about you, Zag. And to be honest, why, I wasn't that mad to begin with. I just thought I'd shake your branches up a bit.
Oh, you kidder, Dionysus.
You chose correctly, Zagreus.
Did I detect some hesitancy on your part just then? Perhaps you knew that you were making a mistake. No matter, you'll learn now. A war can only last so long, my kin. This one is not worth the pursuit, I think, when we can wage a greater one together.
Not the hardest choice you've ever made. Oh, now it seems to me your strength outweighs your smarts there, nephew, if you're prone to picking other sides than mine.
Poseidon won't like this.
Aye, a show of strength like that deserves a commendation, I should think. Although for next time, know my favor's not a thing to trifle with.
accustomed to rejection, love. But you must be accustomed to swift death. Here comes one for you now.
Had to choose.
I think of all the Trial of the Gods, Aphrodite's is the worst, because hers sends like a heat-seeking heart laser at you and it follows you around everywhere, and if you get hit by it, you get charmed and stunned. Most of the gods just have like circle AoEs to avoid.
Oh, all this fighting. It's just not like us at all, dearest. Let's say we kissed and then made up, alright?
Okay, you just threatened death upon me.
Sorry I'm late.
So, you look like you had trouble getting to me, Zagreus. Did you try asking for directions on the way?
You sound like Hypnos. He's getting to you, isn't he? Isn't he?
You shut your mouth right now with it. Come die. The prison sphere in the corner is maybe a little much, but the fireplace, the bat cage, the aquarium, this lounge is practically comfortable. Lord Hades would strongly disapprove.
Good thing he never sets foot in here then, huh? Wait, you don't miss when things were all sad and dreary in here, do you?
I'm still getting used to it. But no.
Good.
You're back?
You and Thanatos don't work together much anymore, do you, Meg?
No, though he still brings me my assignments every now and then.
Oathbreakers, traitors, and the like. Sending them straight to Tartarus, huh? Must be quite an experience going from living and breathing to being dead to being whisked off by Thanatos straight to you and your whip.
If that's not the experience mortals are looking for, they need only keep their oaths and not betray the ones they're closest to. It's not that hard.
You'd think.
Never in my wildest fantasies did I imagine you'd ever end up on the featured house servant board, Zagreus. I still can't entirely believe it.
Whoa, back up. Can you elaborate a bit about these wildest fantasies, Meg?
I'm serious. You should be proud. Not arrogantly proud to a fatal fault or anything, but a little bit is alright in a case like this.
Well, thanks. I guess I am. Well, now who's this dashing fellow?
They can't be reasoned with Nyx. You know that. What use are they to us trying to manage this? They'll make things worse.
They are your sisters. They are part of your life, whether you like it or not. Your relationship with them is yours to mold.
I'm afraid there isn't much for me to work with. You have a lot more faith in them than I do.
I have a lot more faith in you, Megara. There are many obstinate personalities with whom we regularly interact. Thus, we do what is possible.
I understand. You haven't greeted me as often lately, Hypnos. I wouldn't have noticed if it weren't half your job. If there's something you wish to say to me, why not just come right out?
Well, I see. The thing is, Megara, Miss Megara, mind if I call you that? As I was saying, I just thought maybe, we had a thing, a real connection lately, since you keep on dying more and more, and I keep standing here, but then I always thought you were invincible.
I see. And so you're realizing now that your entire image of me came from your imagination. Is that it?
Well, it's just, I really thought with all my advice that you'd go back to killing Zagreus rather than the other way around. I just don't think things are working out the way I hoped,
It almost sounds as though you've broken up with me, except... Well, are you sure that you'll be alright?
Oh yeah, look, I'm just glad it's one of you two. Sure beats having to greet shades nonstop. They never talk to me.
Alright then. You greet me next time here.
Will do.
You're not too broken up about how things ended between you and Hypnos, are you, Meg?
I'm still in a state of shock. I'll have to pick up the pieces somehow and figure out how to get on with my existence.
Have you tried sulking in the lounge? Here we are.
So... nice hearing, Zagreus. Maybe I should have thought twice before giving you a thing like that.
Why? Because the gift you generously gave me may end up being instrumental in your own demise? Sounds straight out of one of those tales the mortals like to go spreading around.
They like it when best laid plans fall completely to pieces, don't they? You better grow to like it too.
Shall we?
You beat Electo, Zag. Could hear her screaming her head off about it all the way through Tartarus. I almost want to thank you.
I almost want to say you're very welcome. Have you and she always been on bad terms like this?
We have long-standing differences. It's worse with family. You know what it's like.
Oh well.
I sense something of death upon you, Zagreus. What's that you have? Something from Thanatos, is it?
Oh, this old thing. It's just a listless butterfly Than gave me, which happens to fill me with even more supernatural strength than usual. Don't pay it any mind.
Not even Thanatos can help you here. But if I ever start a blood collection, I'll know who to call. The spear is competent in the right hands, but it can't stop a whip.
I must admit, mistress, I've not enough experience against such a weapon to refute your claim. Quite fortunately so.
Miss me, Meg?
Nice gloves there, Zagreus. Think you can take me up close with those things? Well within striking distance of my whip.
Not wearing them for fashion's sake here, Meg. You won't mind if I give you my best shot with Malphon here, will you?
I'd mind if you didn't. Want to get your hands dirty? Fine. Let's see it.
Hope I didn't keep you waiting, ladies.
Ready, sisters? What happened to your weapon, Zagreus? I sensed its power long before you turned up. That isn't just some dataless enchantment on it.
Oh, Stygius and I have been getting much more closely acquainted lately, Meg. Would you care to see the fruits of our healthy symbiotic relationship?
You in a healthy relationship? Why, yes. Then this, I have to say. Well, if it isn't our mutual friend.
Enjoy the peace and quiet with us, Zag.
Glad you two are getting along well.
Thanatos, I've meant to ask, is it really the case that many mortals have a crippling fear of death?
It is. I'm quite feared up there. Most of them cannot distinguish between me and, say, Lord Ares, or your father even. We fill them with despair. No helping it.
Why not? I mean, isn't it kind of a big problem that they have such negative associations here? Can't we, I don't know, do something to educate them all?
We've all the time to educate them here. Their ignorance of death is solved almost as soon as they experience their first. Though I suppose they might be better off knowing before the fact.
Yeah, seriously. What's going on with Charon, by the way, if you can tell me, Than? He's never been particularly talkative, but he really seems to know the inner workings of this place.
I correspond with Charon all the time, but even I don't know the full extent of his responsibilities. He's an independent contractor of sorts, been here forever. Your father gives him plenty of space to work.
He must be compensated pretty well for having done this for so long, tending the influx of new souls and all of that.
I doubt he's in it for the compensation, Zagreus. There is no underworld without Charon. I think he knows that, and your father knows it too.
I never thought of it like that. Hey, what is it you're always staring at out there anyway, Fan? I don't see anything.
The river Styx is right in front of you and you don't see anything, Zag? I can watch it endlessly. Studying a competition, you might say. Most mortals expect to get here by river, with Charon. Not with me.
So you're locked in ruthless battle with a river, searching it for any signs of weakness, that sort of thing. That sounds stressful.
I find it rather soothing, as a matter of fact. A break from having to deal constantly with mortal souls. Speaking of which, I have to pick somebody up right now.
Go get them.
Am I imagining it, Mother, or has this house been running relatively smoothly as of late? Although I know I must be tempting the three fates by putting it like this.
It is through a concerted effort that the house thus thrives for now. Though it shall do so only through continued diligence on your behalf, and that of many others here. It is a good occasion to take brief reprieve, but we need you working to the best of your ability here, Thanatos.
Well, know that I am ever grateful, Mother, and I love you very much. Where would we be right now if not for you? I don't take what you've done for us for granted, nor does anybody here. You rest assured.
Thank you, my son.
Thanatos, I ought to have asked by now, but what's it like? Up there, I mean, outside? You never talk about it. I almost forget that's where you go for work.
What can I say? It's different. I never stay up there for very long. Don't think I could. It starts making me feel ill. Too many sensations all at once. And when the chariot of Helios is in the sky, it gets so bright that I can barely see.
That sounds awful. If it's that bad, why would all the Olympians chat it up so much?
There's no accounting for their taste, I guess. Death is inevitable. You have the butterfly I gave to you. Stay back then, and it'll make you stronger once I'm finished here.
I hope it's not been too much, having to care for Cerberus, is it, Dusa? He isn't quite as fearsome as he seems. At least, that goes for 2 heads out of 3.
Oh, Cerberus is a good boy. He's fine. One of the highlights of the job for sure. We really hit it off after he finally realized I'm not a ball. So I've been feeding him, grooming him, changing his water dish.
When you finally realize you're not a ball.
Cleaning up after him?
Most definitely, yes. Excuse me, by the way. He's gotta go. I mean, I've gotta go. I mean, you know what I mean. Bye.
How does she take him for walks anyways? Because she's mentioned that before. That's kind of cute.
Fates be merciful.
Here you go, boy. Triple order, just the way you like it.
Congratulations!
Just please be careful where you go after you eat all this time, okay, Serby?
Hey boy, I hope all the construction and renovation around here hasn't been too inconvenient for you lately. But hey, the lounge is just about ready for you to utterly destroy again.
Don't encourage him, Zag. It's more work for Dusa.
Prince Zagreus implants in the impressionable, vicious watchdog of the underworld a new appetite for more destruction, to be sated in another age.
Let's enjoy it while it lasts.
It seems I failed once again to persuade Nyx to take some personal time.
The unfathomable power of the underworld thrives within you, child. Your godliness has grown since last we spoke. You have learned much of harnessing the dark.
Thank you, though I've much to learn as yet. Never thought that the administrative chamber would have been so invaluable, Nyx. Though I have you to thank for all of it.
Nonsense, child. Our records must be kept up to date. You merely observed that several were long past due. Not even your father can argue with that.
I hope not.
Excellently done.
I heard lately from the goddess Athena, Nyx. She seems to admire you. I thought Olympians didn't like our kind.
They typically do not. But you are family, child. And I believed Athena wise enough to understand why someone such as I would seek her in particular. She has in turn made others in her family aware.
You make a good team.
Even among those born longest ago within the deepest reaches of the underworld, I have seldom encountered anyone so united with the darkness of this domain as you are, child.
United with the darkness? I've just been picking it up here and there, although for quite a while since you mentioned it. I'm not sure that I feel any different, though.
Surely that is not so. Think back on when you started all of this. You now know so much more, are capable of so much more.
Huh, I suppose.
That's kind of neat. Kind of echoes the way that your gameplay has also increased and gotten better since you began the game.
I thank you for the lovely flowers, child. They make my corner of the house hospitable. Such simple comforts never were for me, and yet Now that I am surrounded by them, I have found that I enjoy their presence more than I would have admitted in the past.
I'm glad you like them, Nix. Though if you don't, just give the word and I will have them removed. Probably incinerated for good measure. Now that you mention it, though, how come you were always in this corner in particular?
This point is closest to the center of the house, to its foundation, and therefore to the center of the entire realm.
Makes sense. Mostly.
The realm is strong. I sense all of the minor prophecies described within the fated list have been fulfilled. I do not understand how that is possible.
Well, it certainly took some doing, and several of those really were rather difficult and took some time, but what's so special about getting through them all? It's a list, right?
The fates are always at their weaving. To have caught up with their designs, well, I should think that they shall have to learn to weave a little faster, perhaps.
Any new prophecies need fulfilling, they know where to find me.
You have revealed every facet of the Mirror of Night, child. The full extent of its power. I was aware this was possible, yet you achieved it sooner than expected.
I don't know where I'd be without it. Probably still in Tartarus trying to get past Meg. I only wish I could get even stronger.
The mirror has little to do with your power, let alone your capability. You may deactivate its effects and see for yourself. It merely gave you greater opportunity to learn, and you shall continue to do so.
You really think so?
Yes.
I have to thank you for the mirror back there, lad. Lets me get a better look at things out in the Great Hall every now and then.
Of course, sir. Don't mention it. You're really stuck having to guard this corridor most of the time, huh?
Oh, certainly it's an important corridor. Think of it. If just any shade could pass through either of those doors back there, your father's barely keeping it together as it is.
Well, this should help you keep an eye on him.
You can also check yourself out before you go see Patroclus.
The Bull of Minos led me to another hidden aspect, Achilles. A beastly form of the twin fists belonging to an ancient god king known as Gilgamesh. You ever hear that name? He had a half-beast friend, apparently. Like how Asterius is friend to Theseus.
Gilgamesh, you said? That name isn't familiar to me, but with these hidden aspects, there's bound to be a connection to the future or the past. Say, why is the Bull of Minos aiding you? I thought he was one of your rivals, barring passage from Elysium.
Oh, he is. He's loyal through and through to Theseus and never holds back when we fight. But he seems to be the respect for his opponent type, unlike his companion.
I know the type. Both types. I have to say, lad, this place is livelier than usual of late. Some of the old fixtures of the house getting patched up, new furnishings. It's rather nice, really. We've you to thank, don't we?
Oh, that? It's nothing. Though I'm glad it's made a difference for the better. Our contractor's been doing all the work, I'm just putting in the orders.
And the funds. Your father runs the underworld a certain way. This old house is lavish, I suppose, but he has long since ceased trying to make it livable at all. So the changes are appreciated.
Glad to hear it.
I haven't seen you in a while, lad. You made it to Elysium last time, didn't you?
I did, Achilles. It's crawling with great warriors still looking for a fight. It's not exactly what I was expecting.
Your father's marshaled the most willing ones to deal with you. Doubtless there's much at stake in it for them, if but the pride of having done the task. Although I think that pride will always be their weakness.
Their pride? I'll remember that.
Hey, let me be the first to say congratulations! You have died 100 times since I've been keeping score. Since I've been keeping track. No prize for it or anything, but the journey is its own reward or something, right?
This is a real honor, Hypnos. Thanks.
You're a bit late on that, Hypnos, actually. I'm over 100 now. Maybe you just weren't around when I returned on my 100th try.
Good to see you.
Hello, sir.
Say, that's my shattered shackle on your person, right, Princess? I'd recognize that clunky thing from anywhere. It's serving you all right?
Hey, sir. Certainly it's been most welcome having something from you with me at all times. Though, has it always held this power? And how did you remove it to begin with?
Bit of an odd story, that. Involved a well-timed accident with the old boulder there. Though I'd best not get into it so that you're not accomplice to that little crime. Surely you understand.
Redblood. Hey, Redblood. I've done a lot of thinking, and I've come to the conclusion that I want you never to speak to me again. Ever. Got that?
I don't know how to respond to what you said without directly disobeying your request, Electo, but for future reference, fine. I'll bite.
You'll die. There's no use standing here flapping our gums when we could cut to killing one another right away. Come on!
What do you know?
You know, Redblood, my appointments usually don't come to me, much less again and again. Think I'm here to show you a good time, huh?
Electo, I just like to see you menacingly smile. And hey, having to deal with you now and again beats having to fight Meg all the time.
You think dealing with me beats dealing with that weakling? Ah! How many times is it going to take, Redblood? How many? Tell me, how can you stand running into me like this over and over?
Well, habits can be hard to break. As for how many times, I've really no idea. Though I guess there's one way to find out.
I'll give you one thing. I like it when my prey bites back. Come on, let's see some blood again.
Eurydice, I wanted to thank you once again for this enchanted acorn that you gave me. So this is what plants and things grow from up on the surface?
Oh, not just any plants, hon. Trees. Big gnarled oaks and things. Some of them live hundreds of years. Way up there as mortals go. You take good care of it like that, maybe it'll grow to be something special for you too. Hold on, hon. Is that? Huh. Almost felt like Orpheus was with you there. Would you listen to me? Must have been singing too many high notes or something.
No, wait, you're onto something. I think you must have sensed Orpheus's distant memory. He gave it to me as a keepsake of our friendship. Though something like this, I feel like it should belong to you.
Oh, that's him in there, all right. See, I never should have second-guessed myself. Well, you hang on to that, as I've got plenty of memories of him already, thanks.
Hey, Orpheus, the keepsake that you gave me, it's come in useful, thanks. I can't quite see what's in the container, though. I shouldn't open it, should I?
No, Zagreus. Unless, of course, you wanted to set loose a cherished living memory of mine and take from me that fleeting bit of joy.
Didn't think so. Orpheus, I know Father appreciates your songs to the extent he's capable of appreciating anything. Though, has Nyx ever responded to them? She's always right nearby, yet you two don't seem to talk.
Almighty Nyx appears to tolerate my presence, Zagreus, for she could cast me into everlasting darkness if my song failed to be pleasing to her. She is a most discerning listener.
That she is.
Wait, my friend. Someone is here.
This spear point that you gave me, sir, it's been quite useful, though I have to ask you, is there any particular significance to it? Most spear points aren't imbued with power such as this.
Oh, that. Just something I've been meaning to get rid of, but it can be difficult, discarding trifles from the past. Knowing it's provided you some benefit is welcome news. You've ample time for fishing, have you, stranger? And here I thought you'd more important business to attend to, though it's not for me to judge, I guess.
I'll have you know some of us take matters of fishing very seriously, sir. Besides, helps take my mind off having to fight your Elysian brethren non-stop.
Oh, I'd not take your mind off this fight if it's one that you hope to win, stranger. I once took my mind off a fight and, well, I wound up here.
Ready yourself and your fine armor, friend Asterius. I shall drive circles around him whilst you dispatch him with your mighty axe.
Your strategy might work a little better if you didn't shout it loud enough for me to hear. Though I have to say, I'm impressed you can drive, fight, and shout all at the same time.
And I, Fiend, am impressed that you yet live and breathe. A temporary state Asterius and I shall soon alleviate. To war!
Rematch.
He's here, King. Activating armor. It's fortunate repairs on your chariot were completed in time.
Nonsense, my friend. We could defeat this vile hellspawn with or without the additional divine protection we've been granted here. Get him!
I am returned once more to my more earthly capabilities, Short One. And I'm able to move freely once again.
Fine change of pace, Asterius. Who needs that old spectacular custom-fitting suit of legendary armor anyway?
You mock me, yet you know nothing of being trapped, enclosed in something and unable to break free. I need no armor to fight you. Tell me, Short One, where is your own armored suit? I would prefer not to do battle against one who's ill-equipped.
You know, my father keeps the dress code very strict down there in Tartarus. No armor in the house. Never tried the stuff.
Dress code. I too follow a code, and it's a code that strictly states I cannot let you pass without a fight.
Rematch then.
Even with this armor, I was unable to best you one-to-one. Perhaps I lack as yet the necessary training to take full advantage of its benefit.
I don't suppose you have some good acquaintances with whom to train until such time as you see fit to face me once again?
No. King Theseus is occupied with preparations of his own. You are my good acquaintance now.
Inside the filth-encrusted layers, carved into the looming edifices of the underworld, lie such terrible abominations that not even grim Lord Hades is inclined to speak of them.
This gigantic vermin head deserves a lot more credit if you ask me.
I understand that you created quite a stir within Elysium. An all-out brawl within Eternal Paradise.
You call that paradise? It's just a bunch of shades bored out of their former skulls, itching for a chance to feel alive again.
What would you know of it? The greatest mortals have their every need fulfilled within that place. Dread to hear what they shall say of all of this.
You'll find out soon enough.
It is woefully infrequent that I've cause for this, but I do have to thank you, boy. You've culled the satyrs and the vermin, bringing ruin to our temple there. Blasted creatures multiply at an alarming rate.
They're not doing your bidding, yet they're every bit as bothersome as all your wretched servants I've met. I'm surprised you aren't getting along.
They are a plague upon this realm, although we have them well contained for now. And once they are rightly dead, they tend to swear to me their fealty.
Pushovers.
What I attempted to tell you, Nyx, is I am grateful for our long-standing collaboration here. My rule was thrust upon you and your kin. By all rights, you ought to have undermined my every move. I often thought you would. Yet once Olympus and I severed ties, you stood by me still.
I am the night itself, as you well know, Hades. As I declared to you when first we met, I shall stand by your side so long as you remain the fate-appointed ruler of this realm.
I shall require no additional reminders. Know in turn that I shall always oversee this realm to the full extent of my ability.
You have my gratitude.
The honor is mine.
You're never late, Father.
So, you think that you can vanquish me with my fool brother's old forgotten blade? Poseidon was never any good with Stygius. Grew envious of my spearwork. Now he's famous for that fork of his. Always taking credit where none is due.
Must be hard knowing that everybody's going to think you learned your spearwork from Poseidon, not the other way around. As for Stygius, I can assure you it's in good hands now.
Your assurances mean nothing to me, boy. You think yourself quite capable? Then show me. the twin fists there in your possession, Zagreus? Last god I saw bedecked in those old gloves was Demeter herself, oh, way back when. She was a real fighter at the time, not just a naysayer. You fight your father's legions with Varatha, the Eternal Spear. The irony must not escape him, for he long ago stood by my side against the Titans with that thing in hand. Well, if it isn't the one and only rail of adamant in your possession there. To strike one's enemies from afar is really the only way, I think, and it's about as good a substitute for lightning bolts as you're likely to find. What can I say, young man? You may not make your father very proud, but it is just the opposite with me. Now go. Get out of there. Ah, now that's the Aegis that I know and love. Or used to love, at least, the dear old thing. Now I quite love these shocking bolts of mine. Though I am proud you've given Aegis a good home, and bear it in my name. I know that many mortals ask me for my blessings constantly, and I mean all the time, young nephew. But for you, you needn't ask at all. Has lovely Aphrodite put you in a trance already, Zagreus? Or might I offer you the blessing of Olympus to intensify her catastrophic power with my own? I dare say, little Hades, you've some spunk in you. Why, I think you take after me more than my trusty older brother. We'll get away from that old carter yet. If you should ever make it here, nephew, know this. I shall be pleased to stand in for the father figure I can tell you never really had. You can engage in all sorts of aquatic competitions, solve riddles, visit the sea nymphs. Oh, it would be great, wouldn't you think? Ah, you've received the blessing from Athena there already, little Hades. So careful all the time, that one, but here, I'll help you live a little, just in case. Ahoy, nephew! It's my understanding you've been blessed already by one of my other nephews, Ares. As you can see, not all of us are cut from the same cloth, and thank the fates for that. So, nephew, my honored brother Zeus already has endowed you with his thunderous might. But you shall soon forget about all that after a taste of this. Why, little Hades, there's a certain chill about you, meaning you received an ice-cold blessing courtesy of elder goddess Demeter, correct? Now, personally, I think water's best in liquid form, but who am I to judge? Little Hades, have I ever told you I detest the dead? Well, I admit it. I just cannot stand a mortal past his due. So how about we get you far away from all such filth? Agreed? What do you say there, nephew? Ready to get wet or no? Oh, I suspect you are, so let's get to it and dispense some liquid justice. All of us must sail through troubled waters now and then, correct, nephew? Fortunately, navigation is my specialty, so let's be on our way. Why, little Hades, it is awful murky where you are, but if I'm not mistaken, and I never am, you wield fearsome Stygius. She once belonged to me, you know. Not quite my type, but we sure had our times. You take good care of her for me.
You bear my owl pendant, noble cousin. Wherever it should go, I faintly see it shimmer from afar, even where you reside. For owls see in total darkness, after all. I'm pleased to see your father's stubbornness is manifest in you as such determination, Zagreus. My blessing be with you. Zagreus, perhaps it is a fancy of imagination, but it seems almost as though, this time, you bear the blessing of your own father. If Lord Hades is assisting you in any way in this, then I shall hold out hope that your relationship yet has capacity to heal. To some extent, at least.
Say, let me just point out, you've got a lot of nectar on you, man. Oh, I can tell. I like the stuff a lot myself, but even I don't pack that much, and I mean, wow.
I mean, I have no one to give it to now. I could save it and exchange it at the wretched broker, though.
Hey, Zag, I may just be losing it or something here, but isn't that your dad's own blessing that you've got? That's something, man. I didn't know that he was helping you.
The great hero Achilles, he continues to ignore my polite outreach, doesn't he? Why, I've attempted to reach out at least several times. Your father's realm is really quite a lot. How terribly frustrating it must be. That oaf Poseidon spoke to you already, didn't he? All bluster, muscles, and bravado, that one. I'm glad you're not the type. I sense the mark of my Lord Ares on you, love. He's poorly understood among the gods, yet surely you can see fair qualities in him and me. My dearest little godling, how fares everything with you of late? I love to have these little interactions with you, simple as they are, for they have brightened many of my evenings here.
Varava, the Eternal Spear. I thought it lost. Have you any idea how many lives it drank during your father's glory days? Do you ever think to yourself that you were born a bit too late, my kid? For my part, I wish that I could have been there myself when my father and the others waged ferocious war against the Titans. Ah, it must have been a sight. You bear the blood fruit vial which I granted you. The mortal's blood contained therein. I drew it myself. Too seldom am I able to become directly involved in such matters.
Why, you are wielding Exegryph, the Rail of Adamant. A most fascinating device. Imagine the new face of war should its secrets someday be revealed and spread to mortal kind.
I'm not sure if that's a great idea, Ares.
Lord Ares.
Well, if it isn't Malphon, the twin fists, bound to your very capable hands. So many weapons are so indirect, I think. With Malphon, you are about as close to the destruction as can be. Not once has your Lord Father thanked me for delivering vast portions of his clientele. Surely you shall be more grateful for my gifts. Do you suppose the dead feel pain unlike the living? This is for me an endless fascination. So go on, and give me more to think about. Lord Zeus has gotten to you first, I see. My father's gifts are generous indeed, though I think I can help in my own way. Our messenger Hermes has been in contact with you by now, yes? Perhaps you shall not see him very often, for my work keeps him rather preoccupied shepherding souls and such. I faintly sense the mark of Goddess Demeter upon you, Her power over plenitude is opposite to mine in some respects, but lately she has channeled it in manners more agreeable to me.
Yeah, I've been saying this before, because Demeter is the goddess of, like, the harvest and of seasons, and so usually she's associated with, like, fertility and stuff like that too. And in this game, they portrayed her as being the opposite. She's turned her powers into frost, which is really interesting, because they needed a representative of the element of ice, I think, and that's a unique twist on her that kind of fulfills that niche that they wanted.
Those are the gauntlets of the fated King Gilgamesh, are they not? A bringer of destruction and an agent of the fates. You are full of surprises, my kid. You bear your own father's blessing, my kin. Such a surprise. I know the two of you are now in league, and yet I am still quite accustomed to the thought that you harbor warlike hatred for one another. Perhaps there's still a trace of that, though,
I grow so tired of the others here, you know? I'd much rather be out with the woodland nymphs than with these gods upon this mountaintop. You must know what it's like.
Thought I'd check in again real quick there, boss. Do you want my witty conversation next time, or straight to the boons?
Let's keep talking.
Definitely witty conversation, Lord Hermes. Boons are more than welcome after that.
Ha! Good. I like these little chats. Take care now, boss. Expecting someone else there, boss? A certain half-sister of mine, perchance? Well, tough break. I got here first. Or one of these or not. Sorry, boss, my pocket pressing matters to attend to, but I'm here relaying you that message. And relaying this. Aphrodite said she's running just a little late, cuz, though I'm sure you understand. Besides, I'm here, in spirit anyhow. That's quite a nice bone hourglass you've got there, boss. So you're in good with my professional associate as well. A real gentleman. Say, isn't that your father's blessing on you, cuz? I almost can't believe it. But you've done such a good job of things, how can he not approve? Hey, cuz, that last run-through that you did, I almost can't believe how quick you pulled that off. You're really pretty good.
The heat has risen quite considerably there, is that not so? And then if my foster brothers tampered with the temperature, I'll have to cool things off.
Does she mean the heat as in the heat I'm using to increase the difficulty, or does she mean like actual heat?
You are entirely too young to have had meaningful experience with loss, young Zagreus. Pray to me that you never have to learn. You live within the bosom of the earth and know its warmth. But there is no such warmth up here, young Zagreus. You truly wish to feel the bitter cold of the outside. Then here.
Isn't it just cold because of you, though?
All of the love and beauty in the world can wither in a season, Zagreus. Remember that when next the goddess Aphrodite makes her promises. You stumbled into Dionysus, Zagreus. One of these days I shall prevent his vineyards all from ripening. Put to the test his carefree attitude.
No, Grandma, no, the wine.
I am so very moved. I have a daughter once again, and I have a grandson too. I thought I felt something when first I met you, but I brushed it off. Just like a fleck of snow. You tell my Kore, Persephone, that is, the queen. You tell her that her mother sends her warm regards. You tell her that. And you take care of her. I have to tell you something, little sprout. I take cold comfort knowing that my foster brother Hades is no better at his parenting than I. Athena has imparted you her wisdom, Zagreus. A simulacrum of the real thing, at any rate. True wisdom only comes with age, I think.
Swift Hermes urge you on, I see, O son of Hades. Beware the narrow distance between hastiness and swiftness, a distinction I am not so sure the god of travel fully understands. I trust the small round canvas which I provided you has been of value, son of Hades. It is my hope it makes your journeys to this space less difficult, perhaps inducing them on a more frequent interval. how strange it is to be subjected to the fates. And do not fall into the cognitive delusion that they have already made your choices for you, son of Hades. Rather, they are keen about anticipating every choice that everyone shall make, such as the following. Through the expanse of time, I often wondered, is it necessary to be fair? The immortals are my offspring. Surely I should treat them equally. And yet I find that there is little sport in doing so. Let us conspire to expand and frustrate your Lord Father's sense of both what is and is not possible within his underworld.
Now you're talking, Chaos, yeah.
Good fight, mate.
Are you okay there, Karen? Uh-oh, am I standing in your spot? Okay.
My membership card.
That was kind of weird. Okay, so I do have enough ambrosia, so I might as well finish leveling up all my companions, since that's the only other thing I can use it for, other than the resource director, so let's feed him up.
There you go, Batty. Better. Here you go. Batty, you're all set. Here you go, Shady. Upgraded. Shady, you're all set. There you go, Feedy. Feedy, you're all set.
I love the cute sound effects that these things all make when you select them. Skelly's is so funny. The interesting thing about Antos is Achilles was the leader of the Myrmidons when he was alive. Myrmidons were like sword fighters. But the word Myrmidon kind of translates in Greek to something like ant people. So I think that's where the idea for companion Antos comes from. I guess that also explains why in Final Fantasy XIV there's an entire dungeon centered around ants that seem to have Myrmidon names, huh?
One might suppose the prince's tale most likely ends akin to other tales of the heroes of our time, like so. I have no new tales left to tell. But do not think that you have won, Prince Zagreus. For any tale worth telling is a tale worth telling again, and again, and again. Bye-bye.
No!
Take that, narrator. What you gonna say now, huh?
Another vermin outbreak near the surface, then. Would that I had someone dependable to deal with it. Where are those blasted satyrs coming from, and to what end? The vile things.
Guess I'll see what I can do about it, Father.
How many times must I explain this, boy? Each pact of punishment needs to be properly signed and sealed and filed, rather than pile up.
Not even the pact of punishment can stop me.
You wish to meet your Uncle Zeus someday? Imagine me with a luxurious white mane without a modicum of self-control. That's your Zeus.
Glad I'm on his good side.
Poseidon's an incomparable fool I'm ashamed to call my brother. He can shake the earth up there all he pleases. He is unwelcome here.
You don't mean that, Father.
Why am I never proud of you? don't take it personally, boy. I'm never proud of anything. Pride is perhaps our family's worst trait. See how many mortals are with us because of it.
A little pride's all right.
How suitably disgusting. Fling your blood at me like that again, boy, and I'll have you cast into the Styx, where you can drown in it.
Time for another blood spree, then.
Nyx is the night herself, the twin sons, sleep and death. But you, I cannot think of anything I fear, except the god of talking back to me.
I am the god of blood.
Okay, I think I'm going to attempt Extreme Measures 4, which brings Hades into a new version of Extreme Measures. I've already cleared Heat 10 before. I'm using the Bow of Chiron, so I'm not going to get any new bounties from this, but I want to try it without any other hindrances, so we'll see how bad it is. I looked at a guide, and it seems kind of brutal, but I think I can handle it, especially since I have the Godhood buff, so we'll see what happens.
Again.
Okay, here we go, Extreme Measures.
You're looking very stately there, Father.
I was reviewing the terms of the Pact of Punishment to which you are bound. Even when my servants resorted to extreme measures, they were still unable to surpass you then. So now, it is my turn.
So I have a pretty good build. My build focuses on building up hangover stacks with my Bow of Chiron special, and I also have the duo boon with Aphrodite that means that when he has weakness, he'll take higher stacks of hangover. So the first phase is similar. He gains a few extra attacks, including extra lunges and spins with the spear. His adds that he summons, instead of regular enemies, they're mini-bosses. So, could prove a little bit tricky. Usually people save their calls or their companions for the adds. For the second wave of adds, a lot of times people say, just if you can burn him down and ignore the add, that's even better. So I'm not sure, depending on how low he'll get, I'll try that. Second phase, very similar. The green vases, there'll always be at least 2 green vases left on the field. And he can also absorb the vases to heal himself. So that's a little bit of a problem, so I have to watch out for that. Third phase, very similar to the second phase. Third phase he doesn't normally have. It's very similar to the second, but he can also make the screen dark around Zagreus, which apparently isn't too bad of a hindrance. He also summons, during phase 2, I think just 2, I'm not sure if it's 3, he also summons Cerberus once, and Cerberus will trample through the middle of the field and drop a bunch of rocks everywhere. But I have a lot of good defensive boons, and also I have the Godhood buff, so we'll see if I can do this on my first try. But if I don't, I'm not sure if I'll continue trying Extreme Measures Hades, depending on how bad it is. But I really want to say, I really want to at least try it before the end of the game. Also, just for making it to him with Extreme Measures 4, you'll unlock new music at the music stand, which is, I'm assuming, whatever music's going to play during this fight.
Caught you unprepared, did I? After Theseus and his Macedonian, I have expected to see you thundering around on some golden chariot of your own drawn by sable steeds, that sort of thing. But it's just you.
It is just me indeed. However, that should be more than necessary here. No holding back this time, Zagreus. Are you ready?
Let's go.
Darkness. Why you?
So far, not too bad.
Become as darkness wretches and destroy
Achilles.
Ew, Doomstone. Ah, that was pretty good though. I have the Daedalus buff that increases my damage against armor, which really helps. The fireballs also have a slowing aura around them, so I can't stand near them.
Why don't you let your wretches rest in peace? Can't do that here.
Nowhere to hide from me.
Free yourself.
The wretched sneak. Okay, first phase. Not too bad. Didn't lose that much health.
That does it.
Ah, not being careful.
I have them in my sights.
Go home. This is for your own good.
Ah! Couldn't see what he was doing during that. I like Artemis's cast because you can go around corners when he does that. Oh, we got him.
No. I'm not finished with you yet.
And I haven't used any of my Death Defiance, and I also have a buff from Ares that makes it so I do more damage after using Death Defiance.
I can still fight.
Are you serious?
So it's more or less the same. Here's the new music. He's healing, but I'll get him.
Don't do that.
Ah! Hurts. Oh, nice, I didn't even die.
How? I went all out. And still... You win, boy.
Nice, I beat Extreme Measures Hades.
I did it.
To be honest, I was a little worried, but that was actually okay. So let's just have a quick overview of my build. I brought Companion Antos because I'm trying to complete his journal entry. And wait. I want to exit. No! I didn't mean to do that.
Mine.
We'll look at this back at the house.
Ugh. Come get your gloating well out of the way so I can get back to this parchment work. It piled up in my prolonged absence.
I'm not here to gloat, Father. Well fought back there. I can't believe I got you.
Nor I. Next time, the fates may not decide to favor you like that. If there shall be a next time.
I'm thinking there shall.
Okay, so this was my build, using Extreme Measures 4. I wish the records showed you a little bit more about what was on. Oh no, it does at the bottom. So heat level 10 with Extreme Measures 4 only. This was escape attempt number 102. Now, this game, like, when I got the true ending, I was on run like 30. When I did the epilogue, it was like 64. Now, I'm pretty much done almost everything. I think there's a couple cutscenes I might not have seen. But I've been playing for like almost 2 weeks since getting the epilogue. Every day for a few hours. This is escape attempt number 102. That's how much longer it took for me to unlock everything. From escape attempt 64 to 102 to get all those side quests wrapped up and everything else. So I used the Heart-Seeking Bow with Aspect of Chiron. For the last boss I brought the Lucky Tooth. And I brought Companion Antos because I was trying to level up his journal entry. So my main strategy was inflict weakness with Heartbreak Strike on attack, and then give a bunch of hangover stacks using Drunken Flourish. I did have Curse of Vengeance, so if he did damage me, he would have gotten some doom on him. My cast was a Seeking Arrow, and I found that really useful for him because I can shoot around the stone pillar. I use Artemis's Aid. I like Artemis's Aid because it just does a big burst of damage. You don't have to wait for a little bit, and so that means it doesn't give the boss a chance to get invulnerability if you time it wrong. Ares Urge to Kill just increases my attack. Positive Outlook was so that I have more defense when I was low on health because I heard that he hits really hard. Same with Hyper Sprint, so that I could be sturdy after I sprinted, and I also got the extra dash as well with Greatest Reflex. I also got my Daedalus upgrade that makes it so that the special of the bow pierces armor, which is really good for those mini bosses. For my dash, I had Tidal Dash, which I didn't really prefer, but it was better than nothing. I wanted at least a dash that did damage, and that's the only one I can get. Low Tolerance made it so that enemies took extra stacks of Hangover as long as they were weak, so we went up to 8 stacks, which basically increased all my DPS because most of it was coming from the damage over time. What else did I do? Oh yeah, I also got Rush Delivery from Hermes as well, and Mirage Shot. So Mirage Shot is a duo boon from Poseidon that shoots 2 arrows consecutively, and then Rush Delivery made it so that whenever my weapon did damage, it did extra damage based on any movement speed bonus, which I would have immediately after Hyper Sprint. So if I Hyper Sprinted and then shot my arrows, it would do a ton of extra damage. So that was kind of my main strategy. The other Daedalus upgrade was Triple Shot. Not super useful, it just makes your attack do 3 arrows. I mean, it is useful, but not particularly for Hades. Ooh. So I didn't think I'd be able to do it on my first try, but I did, so I'm pretty glad about that. And now I might just do a few extra little runs just to make sure that I didn't miss anything. There's a couple characters that I want to see if they give me a little bit extra dialogue if I do a few more runs, but I'm basically considering myself as finished the game at this point. And I've really enjoyed the game. It's really addicting. There's a few little complaints I have here and there, which I'll talk about that at the very end of the video, but for the most part, pretty happy with how everything's going. So this was the music track I unlocked by encountering Extreme Measures 4 Hades, the Unseen Ones. Banned for containing too many music notes per second. Alright, so that brings us to the end of this episode. Before we wrap up Hades for good, I just want to have a quick look at my records for this game just to see what kind of progress I've made. So first we gotta go back to the title screen. $54,842 darkness in total. That's a lot of darkness. 54,000. And let's see, 44,626 foes slain. Wow, so you only need 10,000 to get Ares' 7th heart, so it's quite a bit.
I won't ever grow weary of this, will I?
So I've used the fountain 202 times. That seems either too high or too low, because on a regular run you at least get 4 fountains, because there's one between each biome and then there's one in Temple of Styx, so maybe they're not counting those ones. Otherwise the number should be roughly quadruple the number of runs I've done. So it must be fountain chambers, but I feel like on a given run I only encounter 0 to 1 fountain chambers, so I feel like it should be less than 202, but there are runs where I run into the fountain 2 or 3 times, so maybe that's where that comes from. Let's go have a look at the records room. So we don't need to go over individual statistics for each run, but let's go over my overall statistics.
How am I doing?
So I've used the bow the most. That's mostly because the aspect of Chiron is really, really good once I unlocked it. Now, the rest of the weapons, I tend to try to balance them all out according to which one is enshrouded in darkness at the time, and it seems very random. Like, sometimes I get the same weapon multiple times in a row. Like, the sword, I like using, but it barely ever got shrouded in darkness, and I'd only pick it sometimes when the shield was enshrouded in darkness, because I don't really like using the shield. So sometimes I would forego using it even though it was highlighted. That's why the heat clears for the shield are lower. Everything else is getting close to 10. 10's the highest heat I've done. I did it once with Extreme Measures 4 and once without Extreme Measures 4. And, my fastest time was with the spear. Now, I know people say the shield is really good because you can guard, but I don't really like guarding because I find it awkward. You have to hold the attack button, and then when you let go, you do the bull rush, which offsets your location, so I'm not a huge fan of that. I tried the aspect of Zeus, and it just wasn't for me, but I've seen people play with it and use it really, really well, especially against Extreme Measures 4 Hades, so I can see its benefits.
All my boons.
For the boons, I seem to prefer Dionysus. I really like Drunken Strike and Drunken Flourish, depending on which weapon I'm holding. The stacking damage on the Drunk status effect is really, really good. It's basically like a strong poison, especially if you stack it up multiple times. Hermes, of course, you encounter him pretty much every run, so Hyper Sprint, Side Hustle, Swift Strike, those are all good ones that I tend to try to take from him. Divine Dash, I prefer a damaging dash just because it's really good against those little chariot dudes and the tiny vermin in the Temple of Styx. So Divine Dash is nice because it has a reflect status on it. I also like some of the Ares, like Blade, Vortex dashes, which are kind of nice, but not quite as useful as the Divine Dash. I try to pick a Flourish and an attack that usually allows me to do Privileged status, and if I don't, then I rely on my dash to do it. For my cast, I prefer True Shot from Artemis because it homes in on your opponent, and then I also like Artemis's Aid as a call because it does a big burst of damage at once. You don't have to wait, because then I'm afraid that the boss will go invulnerable, especially if I attack him while I'm waiting for it to tick down. Hammer upgrades, Piercing Volley, Relentless Volley, Concentrated Volley, all really good ones for the bow that I like to see. Colossus Knuckle is really good for the fists, and I also like using the fists, even if I think I'm better with the bow. Rocket Bomb, also really, really good. The aspect of Chiron I've used the most, and then the rest of them are more just, I prefer Ares for the gun, just because I don't prefer the other gun ones. I like the fists, probably another weapon I really enjoy to play, and the Gilgamesh aspect is really strong. Achilles and Nemesis just happen to be ones that I prefer for those weapons because I don't like the other ones. I don't really like the legendary ones like Guan Yu and Arthur and Rama very much, so I don't really use those much except for Gilgamesh. Again, Dionysus seems to be my favorite dude. I used the coin purse a lot at the beginning because that was the only one I really had that was useful at the time for a beginner. And then Lucky Tooth is also useful for, especially when you get to the end. I think this only records whichever item you either begin the run with, or no, it must be the one that you end the run with. That's what usually appears on the screen at the end of the fight with Hades, because I often bring the Lucky Tooth just for the Temple of Styx and not otherwise. Unless, towards the end of the game I wasn't using it as much because I was getting much better at not dying. Companion Mort's my favorite companion. I like doing a big burst of damage instead of something defensive like Skelly's, and I prefer a big burst of damage in an AoE rather than like Deuce's, which is over time, or like Meg seems to miss a lot, so Mort is my friend there. You can see I take a lot of the keepsakes just for triggering certain Olympians, because usually I'm trying to do a quest and I'm looking for dialogue from them. I also want to have one last look at the Codex before we leave it off, especially since I put so much work into playing this game, and I know people probably only care about the characters, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll through them, and if you can pause the game if you want, or pause the video if you want, and have a look at what some of these say. I'm sure you can look them up on the Hades wiki. I think most of these are fairly complete, but I think the cool thing about the characters in this game is that a lot of them, like, they all look so distinct from each other. They have distinct, like, palettes from each other, and yet, like, you can still tell exactly who is who from a distance very, very easily, and still say that they all kind of belong from the same game. They all look like they belong together. And I think one thing I really found interesting was because they're all, like, Greek characters, most of them are dressed in clothes that are very similar to each other, like togas, tunics, and just of different, like, colors and stuff like that. And yet, despite that, they all look so distinct from each other, because you might think, like, oh, they're all wearing the same types of clothing, that they would all look the same, but they're not. And their personalities are very distinct too, even though, you know, you basically only get a few lines of dialogue with each of them at a time. They don't really play towards, well, except for a few of them, like maybe Theseus, but they don't exactly, like, play towards certain caricatures. Like, I'm just thinking of, for example, in, like, Fire Emblem Awakening and Fire Emblem Fates, the characters, like, they were very distinct from each other because their personalities were very distinct, but they almost became more like caricatures of themselves when all you saw was, like, one predominant personality trait all the time and nothing else. And, like, Awakening, I think, did it okay, but then Fates, I think, took it a bit too far with a lot of the character traits, and then so then you get to the point where when they came up with the mobile gacha game, Fire Emblem Heroes, because most Fire Emblem characters don't have, like, hugely fleshed out personalities, Erebus I didn't finish, they basically just focused on one character trait of them and just exploded it really, really big, so they became, like, almost ridiculous in that they only seem to have one character trait. So what I'm getting at is this game didn't really do that. The characters were distinct from each other, but they still felt like actual beings that had individual opinions, individual, like, interactions with one another that were natural. The only one that I felt kind of, like, misplaced at times was kind of Nyx, because, like, she's, like, to me, she's like the caring mother of Zagreus, like the mother that is not related to him by blood, and yet there were a couple storylines where, like, I know in Greek mythology Nyx is considered very, like, strict and, like, almost scary, and that the Olympians don't want to cross her either, but, like, in this game, like, there were moments where she did come off that way, like, a little bit, but not too many. And then particularly the storyline between Nyx and Dusa, I felt a little bit off, just because I didn't think it would be in Nyx to just fire Dusa immediately right away without really giving her warning or, like, explaining her meaning. And she does eventually go back on it, which is a kind of like a one-time, like a first kind of thing for most people to see from Nyx. But I felt like that was a little bit forced just because they wanted to do the whole storyline of firing Dusa. And, like, it was a good storyline, and I think it brought out the characters, but I felt like that was a little bit, I didn't really agree with Nyx there, especially when she tried to explain her reasoning behind it. It just didn't make sense to me. It didn't seem congruent with her character to me. So the loyalty card, I still need to beat Charon at least 6 more times, and then the onion is 7 more times, which means I need to go into Erebus and fail. I actually was surprised I got most of the fish. The only one I'm missing is this legendary fish from Chaos's Realm, which is really hard to get. I mean, it's hard to get a fishing hole in Chaos's Realm to begin with. These fish were pretty cute. I like how a lot of them, their names are very similar to fish that we would have up on the surface. I mean, other than trout, bass, and sturgeon, since those are fish on the surface area of Greece, but most of them were just like spelled different ways, like clam and crustacean are just spelled differently, for example, which I thought was kind of cute. The companions were cute too. I kind of wish there were more of them. I mean, I understand they don't want to give one to every single character in the game, but I think some characters could have benefited from it. Maybe the reason why they didn't give us one for Cerberus is just because Hades can summon Cerberus during extreme measures, so that might be the reason why. Let's have one last look at our keepsakes too. I managed to get all the keepsakes up to max just because that's how many times I had to play this game in order to unlock everything. I love the little icons with the characters, they're very cute. And I also like the sound. Each one has a unique sound effect. And you get a little bit of text describing their relationship with Zagreus, and Thanatos and Megs actually change depending on whether you're romancing them or not. But they're very cute little pieces of dialogue. If you want, you can pause the video and have a read through some of those. Oh, look at Hypnos, he's so cute. He looks so derpy, I like it. A lot of these I didn't really use very much until the end. Like, all the gods ones I used because I'd be fishing for certain boons and stuff, but a lot of the other ones weren't as useful to me. And I saved a lot of them for leveling at the end. I like that cat-like smile on Hermes, he's so cute. The companions too are very cute. All very cute, and I love the little flavor texts. Alright, so before we wrap up, I want to also give my final thoughts on the game, since I feel like I've been playing this a lot, and I feel like I should give my opinion on just my thoughts how the game went. I really enjoyed it. I dare I say this is the most complete Let's Play for Hades from start to finish if you just want all the story plot points. I found a lot of clips that just have like individual little cutscenes or people going for like high heat or impressive builds, but not too many people that have done like a full just gameplay Let's Play just for people to get the idea of both the story and also a general idea of how the game plays. So I'm pretty happy with how that turned off, especially after the true ending. I basically just compiled cutscenes together because I did so many runs. You guys don't need to see every single one because it gets repetitive after a while, but you kind of get the idea behind what's going on and how to play and how the plot is progressing. Overall, a very well balanced game. Easy to learn. I think there's only like 4 main buttons: dash, attack, special, and cast. So that makes it very easy to get in as an entryway. There's so much flexibility in your playstyle. You can build all sorts of different things depending on your boons, your weapons, your aspects. I've seen people do revenge builds where it just relies on getting hit, and then you do your revenge damage, and that's how you kill things. It looks kind of fun. I like the Drunken Strike build, especially for the aspect of Chiron with Drunken Flourish. I've also seen people do Merciful End builds, which is a dual boon between Ares and Athena, where you just inflict doom on someone with Ares, and then you immediately dash deflect into them, which immediately sets off the doom, and it does really high DPS because the doom doesn't have to wait to tick down. The difficulty of this game is nice because you can adjust it. You can add God mode, you can do Pact of Punishment, you can kind of set it to your preferred playstyle as well. You can make it as hard as you want, as easy as you want. So in that sense, there's a low entryway to this game, but there's a high ceiling because you can get really high level play, but it's very easy to get into. The game does a really good job of teaching you how to play with scaffolding, like the enemy types and variations as well. A lot of the enemies you see at the beginning of the game, you'll see stronger versions of them as mini bosses later on or in later areas. I like how they did with the Furies, like you start fighting Meg and then eventually they introduce Electo and Tisiphone, or the Hydra, you fight the Hydra and then sometimes they switch out which head is the main head, which kind of changes things up. And then there's also extreme measures, each time building more and more on the boss, so you're getting better at learning how to fight each boss, and then they add new things and you gotta learn to that. But you're just kind of adapting your play because you already have a good handle on how it goes. So certain boons or aspects or Daedalus upgrades change your playstyle entirely, which is really, really nice, because even if you just change one little aspect, suddenly you have to change your whole game plan, and that's a really good way of keeping your mind thinking while also using things that you've already learned. But you can really feel yourself getting better at the game over time, even if you're not counting like the Mirror of Night or other benefits like Godhood or whatnot. Like, you get better at reading enemy attacks and figuring out, what you can dodge, what you can be greedy with as well. I remember struggling at the beginning with fighting the Furies and Lerny until I learned their attack patterns, and now like I just steamroll them. Asphodel was really hard at first because of all the magma. Elysium was hard because of all those exalted dudes that you have to kill them twice, especially the ones with the shields are annoying. But pretty much after I got the true ending, after I got the first clear ending, I only had like 2 deaths in the 10 runs that I was trying to get the true ending, and then after that I pretty much didn't have any deaths after that, except for when I intentionally died for Asterius' autograph. So I was pretty much brute forcing bosses, even if I didn't have a good build, or once I challenged Charon and Tartarus with barely any boons, or maybe I challenged him with just a Daedalus upgrade and no boons at all, and I was able to beat him without using up any of my Death Defiance, so I could feel myself getting better at the game. I could take more risks about it. After a while, even Extreme Measures wasn't that bad. Even Theseus and Asterius on Extreme Measures I was wary of, and they weren't that bad. Hades wasn't even that bad. Of course, I didn't put any extra things on the Pact of Punishment. But the gameplay's really, really addicting. Even after so many runs, I wasn't really super tired of it. Maybe towards the end I was a little bit, because I just wanted to be finished with the game and unlock a couple things. The runs were a decent length of time. They're not overly long, but they're just right. It usually takes about 20 to 30 minutes, I'd say, for one run from start to finish. Maybe up to 40 minutes or 45 minutes if you have cutscenes to watch, or if you need to decide things at the House of Hades before you get there. But you can just imagine, it doesn't tell me how much time I spent playing this game, but with 132 runs, on average about, let's say about 30 minutes to 40 minutes per run, I would say I spent quite a bit of time playing this game, a lot more than I originally intended. I think that's the main theme of this Let's Play, because I kept going like, oh, I'm not going to do this because that's a lot of time, or I'm not going to do this because that's too much effort, and then I ended up doing it anyways because I was already farming other things and I thought I might as well make use of my time. You can really challenge yourself too. Like, I've seen people do runs where they get to Hades on their a fresh gameplay file without anything unlocked, or I've seen people get to Hades without any boons, or purging all the boons before they get to Hades, which does unlock special dialogue. I really like how Greek mythology fits the setting really, really well. The fact that you're trying to escape the underworld fits really well into the narrative, and even after you finish the game and you meet Persephone, they still give you a reason to continue going back and doing it, so it still made sense plot-wise, which I think was really good. Of course, usually whenever games take inspiration from things, they take some liberties, but I think the liberties in this game aren't significant. I could still enjoy all the characters and still tell who they were. Sometimes I think games take liberties a little bit too far and it becomes a little bit different, or a little bit difficult to see the inspiration material. Art style is really great, not just for the characters, which I really like. I like the way that the characters are shaded with the harsh black contrast shading, but the scenery is really good too, very iconic. Even though places like Elysium and Asphodel and Tartarus are all very different from each other, you can immediately see something and tell what aesthetic it is from, or that is from this game. The character design's also really good. I like how they didn't just take everyone and make them everyone is a pretty boy now, or everyone's a sexy lady. They made them look true enough to their Greek mythology counterparts while making them all look very attractive in their own way. Even characters like, for example, Demeter, they've drawn her like an older lady, but she still looks really good. Or a lot of the older men in this game, they have very sharp features, and yet, I could still say that they're pretty good looking in terms of how they're drawn, even though it might not be, everyone doesn't all look like Zagreus or Thanatos, for example. I think Zagreus is a really great character too, not just in the way they wrote him. He kind of comes off as aloof badass, but he really cares about his friends. He loves his mom. It's really cute. He's really wholesome. And I think they've hit the jackpot picking Zagreus as the main character for a character that is in Greek mythology but is not typically, shown as the main character. A lot of times you play as Hercules or Zeus or Ares or whatever. Zagreus is a lesser known character, which also means he has less literature about him, which means they have more flexibility about him without making him seem like he's too much of an original character. And not only that, but his name just sounds cool. It sounds like a protagonist name, which is really nice. And you can shorten it so many ways, like Zag, Print Zed. It was just really nice to see all the characters refer to him as different things, which is kind of neat. All the characters were pretty likable, even the ones that maybe initially were not as likable, or like even characters like Theseus still had their redeeming qualities. Like Tisiphone, even though she only says like a couple words, like she was kind of amusing, right? Characters that don't even talk, like Cerberus and Charon and even Boldy, like they were likable, which is kind of interesting. Characters like Galecto, even though they were made to kind of be more snobby and maybe not likable, they still had some likable qualities to them. So there were a lot of interesting, cute interactions, especially all the friendship and the familial bond ones, without being too cheesy. Like it wasn't all like friendship is power type of thing, but it was still like a very wholesome, like, hey, we're friends, we can depend on each other, and I'm there for you. The voice acting was also really good. I quite enjoyed it. Everyone had different voices, even characters that shared the same voice actor. Like the one for Zagreus also does Skelly, and the singing voice for Orpheus, that's Darren Korb, who's the composer for the game as well. Very multi-talented. And then there's Logan Cunningham, who does like Hades, but he also does like Achilles, and I think he does the narrator too. I could be wrong about that, I don't remember. But voices were good. Even characters like Dusa, whose voice I think I might find annoying normally, I really liked it. I thought it was cute, and you didn't hear it overly much because you only heard it between runs. Meg sounded a little bit raspy at times, but I think that suited her character. So overall, a lot of good things about this game. I can see why it won so many accolades. Well deserved as well, both in gameplay and style as well, and storytelling. Now, in terms of things I don't like about the game, there's just a few, but before we talk about that, I think I need to talk about basically how my run of this game went. So initially, when I first beat the game, that was run number 18, I believe. And then to get the true ending, which you need 10 more clears, I think I was up to run number 30 for that. So by 30 I got the true ending, and then I wanted to get the epilogue, and I had no idea the epilogue would take so long. So by the time I unlocked the epilogue, it was run number 64. So 34 runs after getting the true ending, that was finally the epilogue. And I thought that would be home free, just wrap up a couple loose ends. Little did I know, I ended up playing and playing and playing and playing. By the time I got up to run like 80 or 90, I finished most of the stuff in the game, but there were still some loose ends that still kept cropping up, and I thought I was so close to the end I might as well finish, and eventually I kept going and going and going. Run number 102, I beat Hades on extreme measures, and I thought that was going to be my last run. I thought that was going to conclude the episode like that. But I kept going, because there were still some things I realized I was so close to finishing, I might as well finish them, and I thought it would only take a few runs. Next thing I know, I'm up to run number 132. So just as a little kind of story about how that all came about, because originally I only wanted to do the epilogue, and I wanted to do the major side story. So that was like Orpheus and Eurydice, Achilles and Patroclus, Sisyphus, Nyx and Chaos, and Skelly. So I wanted to do all those. I didn't think it would take that long. Each time I started increasing the heat by 1 each time, because you don't really get anything extra for over-maxing the heat gauge. And I was trying to slowly unlock everything, and slowly going up heat at a time. And pretty much everything was bottlenecked with Nyx, because Nyx is involved in so many quests, and you need her administrative privileges to unlock a lot of these things through the house contractor. So by the time I finished Sisyphus and Nyx and Chaos and Orpheus and Eurydice, I still haven't even unlocked Achilles and Patroclus, because I was waiting for Nyx to give it to me. By the time I finished Achilles and Patroclus, I still had Skelly's quest, because he hadn't said any new dialogue for me for a really long time, especially after he did his Skelemaias story and I told Asterius about it. This was around run 80, and I just really wanted to finish Skelly's thing. And then I found out that you need to talk to Thanatos while holding the Companion Mort, which I never would have figured out. So I kept doing that, except Thanatos still wouldn't say what I needed. And it took me about 7 runs of encountering Thanatos, which is probably close to about 15 runs of just doing it, because I wouldn't encounter him every single time, until he finally talked about Skelly, and then I could finally do the last leg of figuring out Skelly's past. So by then, I pretty much had Ambrosia maxed out with everyone except for just a few people like Hypnos and Sisyphus and Dusa and Meg. So I thought, I might as well finish this because I still need to do stuff for Skelly anyways. I'm still going to be playing. I might as well, be efficient with it. And Hypnos was still on heart number 6 because I hadn't seen all the cutscenes I needed to unlock his favor for a 7th heart. Dusa also wouldn't give me her last heart for the longest time. Even after her last Ambrosia, she wouldn't appear with the cutscene in Zagreus' bedroom. So I was waiting for Dusa to appear, and it was a random event. So I kept doing more and more runs, thinking I might as well finish because I'm so close to finishing everything. But I didn't want to do runs where I just intentionally died to make them go faster because my pride wouldn't let me. But I got tired, so after run number 90, I started going back to low heat again because it was taking longer and longer with the higher heats and more brain power. I just wanted to finish the game. So as I worked towards getting Last of Hypnos' events, which I didn't realize you need to buy the tombstones for the Great Hall from the House Contractor to do that. There's no indication that they're related. So during this time, I thought I'd finish up my Fated List and other quests. So I started farming out getting all the Daedalus upgrades, all the legendary boons, all the dual boons, which took quite a bit of effort because you had to plan out your runs and make sure that you're taking everything correctly. And it was great that the Codex told you which boons required other boons as prerequisites. So that took me a really long time. By the time I finished Skelly's quests, which was between run 90 and 100, I think, there were only a few things I needed left. I still needed Hypnos at that point. He still hadn't given me the cutscenes. I thought I only needed a couple more Nyx and Dusa scenes, and I only needed 1 or 2 scenes with Tisiphone to finish doing her little quest line of learning how to say the word Zagreus. So again, I was like, well, I have to do more runs anyways, I might as well finish everything else up. I started doing the Asturias autograph side quest, which meant I had to die in Elysium, so the runs became a little bit faster for a few runs. And then I finished almost everything, still had a couple cutscenes. I was planning to finish up this game with Extreme Measures 4. Eventually I thought, well, I'll just do it now. So that was around run number 102. I beat Hades on Extreme Measures 4. And I thought I only needed a couple more things left and I'd be finished the game. I was so close to finishing every single thing, I might as well stick it out till the end. And then suddenly Nyx started talking about Ares again. And she hadn't talked about Ares since run number 60 for me. So I didn't think it was a full quest line. I didn't think there was more to this. I thought it was a one-off conversation. So little did I know I'd do more runs to get a little bit more of that dialogue. And then Nyx and Hypnos started having a couple cutscenes. And then Thanatos and Nyx started all catching up on old dialogue, Thanatos and Nyx, because they were kind of bottlenecks, because Nyx involves everything, and Thanatos isn't at the house all the time. They started giving me dialogue to wrap up thoughts on Orpheus and Achilles and Sisyphus, even though it'd been ages since I freed them. So that delayed getting the last couple cutscenes about, Nyx and Dusa and Nyx and Ares as well. So by then I finished all the Fated List things. I thought, well, I might as well finish all the keepsakes too. So I ended up actually maxing out all the keepsakes, even the ones that I barely used during my actual plays of the game, just because I had all this extra time as I was doing my runs. So then I finished up all those kind of last couple dialogues. I wasn't sure if I was done because there'd still be a few more here and there. So I've done about the last few runs, the last 3 or so runs, I haven't gotten any new dialogue from anyone. So I think I'm done the game in terms of that. I know I've seen people do dialogue where Nyx congratulates Hypnos on being the featured servant and says that she thinks he did a good job, which makes him feel happy. I haven't been able to get that. I thought that unlocks getting Hypnos as the featured servant on the house board, but I started seeing him on that board without the dialogue from Nyx, so I'm not really sure if there's more to that, or maybe I already saw the dialogue and I forgot. I'm also not sure if the Nyx and Ares dialogue ends off like that. I haven't seen anyone else post anything online that's after the dialogue about them saying they started correspondence, and they haven't said anything since, so I think that's the end of that quest line. I'm only missing a couple Codex entries, like the legendary Chaos, or the legendary fish from Chaos's realm. I have never caught, so he's not in my Codex. I still need another 10 onions, which means I have to go into Erebus and fail 10 times, which feels kind of bad. I still need another 50 entries into Erebus, because I wasn't really doing Erebus until near the end, so that's a lot. And I still have to beat Charon another 8 times for loyalty cards to fill out those entries, so not going to finish those. So I guess my point is, I don't really have gripes with the amount of content in this game. It makes it replayable, which is really good. It keeps a lot of intrigue for the characters. But what I found was there was not very much direction on certain plot lines that were bottlenecked at certain points. Like, for example, needing to encounter Thanatos with Companion Rib, I never would have figured out to advance Skellies, or buying the tombstones for the main hall for Hypnos. Never would have figured that out. And those are kind of important because they block you off from the remainder of the quests, which are story relevant or like affinity relevant in the case of Hypnos. Artemis also was really annoying because I knew I needed to encounter her a few times and for her to talk about a Callisto before she unlocked her 7th heart. And it took so many runs, and she would give me so much filler dialogue in between, because I guess it was RNG. So even though I only needed like 6 or 7 pieces of dialogue from her, it took like almost 20 runs because she would say things that were not relevant or things that had nothing to do with the plot. So I wish the priority system was a little bit better in this game for figuring out which quests take priority, which ones have the dialogue come earlier if you have them unlocked. For example, encountering Thanatos with Companion Rib, I think should take priority over just random dialogue he says, even if it's relevant to other quests, because it's a conditional one that I don't want to keep having to run my runs with Companion Rib and encountering Thanatos. So, like, it's fine for the one-off dialogue, like, for example, Hades commenting that you beat him without any boons, but for dialogue options that really bar you from other tasks in the game, I think the priority system should have been ranked a little bit better. The weapons got randomized in terms of which ones were Shrouded in Darkness, which kept you playing with different weapons, but I always felt like some weapons got it more than others, and some weapons wouldn't get it for many, many runs, and I wish it was more semi-randomized, like, oh, the sword hasn't gotten Shrouded in Darkness for a really long time, so we should prioritize the sword for the next run, would have been nice. The Codex was really useful for the boons, for figuring out, if you look it up, it tells you, oh, to get this boon, you need this prerequisite boon, or to get this legendary boon or dual boon, you need these boons, so that was really good. But there's nowhere in the Codex that tells you prerequisites for Daedalus upgrades. So I didn't realize until I was trying to get the Daedalus upgrades, the ones I was missing, some of them you actually cannot get if you have certain aspects equipped. Some of them you also can't get if you choose other Daedalus upgrades previously on that same run. So I wish the Codex told you about Daedalus upgrades as well, or maybe there's a spot hidden somewhere, but I couldn't find it. So I guess those are my main gripes with the game. Some of the priority system with the RNG dialogue was a little annoying. I would like a little bit more direction on some of the very specific things you need to do to progress certain dialogue side quest chains, and the randomization of the weapons Shrouded in Darkness, and I wish Daedalus upgrades were listed better in the Codex. But other than that, I mean, the game still has replayability to it. Maybe I'll come back to it one day to do the higher heat runs to get those last Skelly statues that I didn't get. And I recommend this game to anyone else. Even if you watch this Let's Play, if you're interested, or if you just want to experience it for yourself, I totally recommend it. This game is also coming out on, I think, PlayStation 4 and Xbox next month as well, because right now it's just on Nintendo Switch and Epic Game Store, I believe. So I'm not sure if it's on Steam, I can't remember. I think it is, actually. So definitely recommend it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening to me talk and bearing with me with some of the long gaps between these episodes, or some of the messiness of trying to combine these clips together. I really appreciate it. That was kind of new for me, so I learned quite a bit. And I hope you guys enjoy the next Let's Play coming up. So thanks so much again, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.